Hey gang, it's Steve with Guitar Center, and today we're at GC Nashville. Everybody make some noise. Yeah. We have an awesome event set up for you guys. You're gonna see amazing performances, you're gonna see amazing guitars, and you're gonna get to learn from one of the most amazing performers out there working today. But before we get into that, we got a special guest in the house tonight, and we got a guy who's gonna come up here and say a little something. You've definitely taken a lesson from him before. Ladies and gentlemen, Marty Schwartz.
Thanks so much. Hey, what's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. Quick shout out to Keep the 11. Awesome band, local band. You know, we got to support the up-and-coming bands. But I am so excited, and just like you guys are, to get to hang out and get an intimate performance with the legend in the making, Marcus King. Give it up for Marcus King. And I can see that his better half is here, Mr. Ducky the dog. I had the honor and the pleasure to spend the last 2 days with Marcus. I don't know if he had the same honor because we were shooting a master class for Marcus King. So I was able to actually get to ask all those questions and watch him play up close. And, you know, he's a wonderful guy, an old soul, as you can see. And there's a few takeaways I got. One that's really amazing. It kind of reminds me of those bilingual families when someone grows up and they speak 2 languages. Marcus grew up in a similar way, where his grandfather and his father were both amazing musicians, guitar players, singers, etc. So you'll be able to notice this. But Marcus doesn't really even remember learning the guitar because he grew up with that second language in the house. So you're going to see that up close. And also, Marcus is an anomaly because he's such an amazing guitar player. And you know, these guitar legends, right? I think of a Hendrix or a Stevie Ray Vaughan. They're these just otherworldly guitar players, and they don't want to have to rely on a singer to have their career. So they go, well, I'm going to be a singer too. Marcus is not like that, because Marcus, you'll hear him play guitar, and he'll just melt your face and blow your mind, and you forget actually what an amazing singer he is. But then goes the other way. He starts singing, and you forget what an amazing guitar player he is. So he's the, you know, like I said, a legend in the making. So please give it up and welcome Marcus King.
How we doing? Marty's definitely right. I do not remember a lot of things.
All right, let's get this started. How you doing, Marcus?
Fantastic.
So when we announced this, people just went nuts. I mean, the RSVPs went crazy. We got a super packed house in here tonight. And it's all here at Guitar Center Nashville. So I'm wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit about like what Nashville represents for you.
Oh, well, you know, I first came up to Nashville when I was like 15 or 16, and went and saw, you know, the Time Jumpers at 3rd and Lindsley, and just did a little bit of moving around and just realized how electric this town really is. And when I moved here in 2018, just immediately I moved up here to work on a record, essentially. So as long as I've been in Nashville, I've been working, and that's always kind of been my relationship with the town. It's a great place to get shit done.
Well, so much music history. Gibson, literally the factory is here. Like, it's just so steeped in music. What's it like sort of just being completely surrounded by it when you're here?
You know, it's like when you go home and you smell some good home cooking, or you get a hug from your grandma. It just feels comfortable.
Nice.
Feels at home, and you know, everybody's up here kind of for the same reasons, and it doesn't feel like a put on. You know, some industry towns kind of feel like folks are trying to get at you for one reason or another, and here it just kind of feels natural.
Nice. Well, we got a bunch of great guitars with us here today, but we're starting off with this SG. I'm wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about this guy.
Yeah, so there was this movie that Bryan Cranston was in about Santa Claus's, like, kind of like mess up younger brother, I guess. It wasn't Fred Claus, but it was similar to that. And in that movie, he ended up getting this guitar, which is the guitar he wanted. My dad played this guitar, and seeing it on the silver screen as a kid, I always wanted this guitar, the 61 Les Paul. And, you know, things went well, and I was able to get this one. And, you know, Bonamassa said this is where it all went wrong for him as far as collecting.
Oh, yeah?
You
That
know,
was the one that put him over the edge?
This is the turning point. I don't have as much of a problem with him, problem with buying guitars as he does, but, you know.
Shout out to Joe, our #1 customer.
Hey, Joe.
He's the
Yeah,
best.
I think he's over there right now buying some strings. This guitar is real special, man, and it took a real beating for a while. I took it out when we were touring the trio, and, you know, I was having a lot of fun and jumped up on a riser, and my boot got stuck. I mean, I was drunk as hell, but my boot didn't get stuck, and I fell, and, you know, she took a...
Stream. And what we're running through a bunch of really cool pedals here. Can we maybe highlight one or two that you particularly enjoy?
Yeah, you know, I'm a Tube Screamer guy, TS9. That's kind of one of my safety blanket pedals. You want me to demo them a little bit?
Sure, let's hear a little bit.
Okay. So, love the Tube Screamer. Gotta love it. I mean, it's just, that's meat and potatoes, baby. It just gets you where you need to go. And for a long time, all I used was a super reverb and a TS9. I put the TS9 on top of the amplifier, and I would turn the drive down really low and the volume down really low, and then I'd crank the amplifier because, you know, I mean, now especially with like the helixes and all that other, you know, those abominations, like you got, you just wanted to kind of attenuate your power a little bit so you didn't freak out the local sound man and, you know, or your touring sound man. But that's what I would use it for. I would use it as an attenuator. And I got this little MXR booster, you know, just gives me that little extra. You gotta love that. Got my color driver here, which is kind of based off of the Gilmore fuzz that he used. And my guy, Teddy, up in Maine, builds these by hand. He kind of reverse engineers like his favorite fuzz pedals. And let me adjust this a little bit. And you know, they're really easy to adjust with your boot. That's what I like about this pedal.
Well, that's a skill in and of itself.
Highly recommend it. He makes a good tremolo pedal too. Well, it's not tremoloing right now.
This is a tale as old as time for most guitar players. We all know that vibe when something doesn't happen on your pedal board.
Oh yeah, it makes you feel like a real loser. But I mean, you know, I like having these things as options, and I've got my volume pedal, my wah pedal, hum debugger, and then I got just like some fun stuff too. Like we all like to have fun, right?
Oh yeah.
So like, you know, what do I got here?
Nice.
I love backwards
Little
guitars.
reverse delay.
Man,
Nice.
Reverse delay, you gotta love that. You gotta love a Phase 100 MXR. And I like this one. Yeah, I mean, I got the old one at the house, and I take this one out because it's got an indicating light on it, and the old one doesn't. The MXR reverb, which I just use that for just like if I want to get real spacey. You know, if there's a horn solo or something going on, I can really play some kind of wild shit behind it. What else do I got? I got my Schofield in a box here.
Very cool.
Gotta love that. I got a, you know, what do you call that? Blanket on the name.
Roto vibe? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's a Roto
nice.
vibe. So kind of that Robin Trower thing. And this Atreides, everybody stand back. It does some weird. I don't really turn that one on. Every time I do, it just hurts somebody.
But it's important to have one of those on your board for like
Yeah.
something wild.
You gotta have a wild card. I've eliminated a lot of the, you know, danger out of my life. So.
Yeah.
The Atreides, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, everybody is here obviously because they love you and they love your music. And so I want to get into a song.
Okay.
And the song that we got coming up first is Hero.
Okay.
And so I'm curious,
Hi.
where does a song start off for you in your mind? Does it start off just like a riff on the guitar? Does it start off as a idea you pluck from the sky? Like do you sit down to write? How does that start for you?
I get a lot of ideas when I'm driving. When I'm driving or when I'm doing like mundane tasks, like doing the laundry or something that I'm familiar with, or maybe I'm watching a program and I've seen it a dozen times, so I know what's going to happen, so that part of my brain's being stimulated, but I'm not having to draw any conclusions or be deductive in any way. So that creative side of your brain starts ticking, and that's when ideas kind of start to flow in. And this particular song I wrote with two really fantastic writers, and being in Nashville, co-writing becomes, you know, just part of the job, part of the deal. And I've really learned a great deal from writing with people like this. And I wrote this song with Dan Auerbach and Greg Cartwright. He was in a band in the 80s from Memphis called the Neptunes, and he's just a really swell writer. He lives in Asheville, North Carolina now, so God only knows what his Birkenstock collection looks like, but he's a great writer.
Yeah. Well, that's a great little hippie town there.
Yeah, it is.
And Dan's no slouch either.
I think he's a tremendous slouch. I'm just kidding. Danny, I love you. I know Dan tunes into this.
Yeah, Dan's always watching Guitar Center's YouTube channel. I know it. Yeah. So you picked the SG for this tune. Why'd you do that little matchmaking there?
Well, I don't really know, Steve.
Yeah.
It just felt right in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what making music is, right?
Hey, man, I like to live in the moment.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's live in the moment and let's see Hero. Give it up, everybody.
Thanks, Steve. Soft green eyes never told me any lies, but your lips have turned me round a time or two. Tried to prove that you were wrong, but you told me all along that you weren't looking for a hero. You done your time with figures made of stone. But I let you run wild. When I see you smile, it's all I need. I let you run wild. I know that's your style. It's all I need. In your hometown, everybody let you down. They couldn't ever understand a girl like you. You kept them all in shock, couldn't fit you in their box, and you weren't looking for a hero. You done your time with castles made of sand. But I let you run wild. I see you smile. It's all I need. I let you run wild. I know that's your style. It's something to see. It's clear to me that you weren't looking for a hero when you found me. Thank you.
Incredible.
Appreciate you.
Sounds so good.
Thanks.
So, you know, I definitely want to get into the beginnings of you playing guitar for you, but your voice, man, it's like amazing. How did you develop that sound? And do you sort of approach it in the same way you approach playing guitar?
Man, yeah. You know, it's all coming from the same place. Mm-hmm. And the voice took longer than the guitar, but the guitar was like an extension of me because I was too bashful to say anything. You know, I had my hair in my face, and I just kind of hid behind that and my guitar. I didn't have much interest in speaking to others, you know. I just like hanging out with my dog. I don't know if I'm too dissimilar from that now, but, you know, the guitar kind of spoke where I couldn't. Mm. So when I started singing, it was kind of the same emotion. Mm-hmm. I'd rather sing than speak, I guess.
Yeah. And so when you tap into that thing, there's no real differentiation for you, right? Maybe vocals come through it, guitar comes through it, lyrics come through it.
Yeah, I mean, the best ability, you can just be a vessel, you know, allow something extraordinary to flow through you. Mm-hmm. Not saying anything I do is extraordinary per se. I just have a real respect and reverence for music, or for just being able to create. Yeah. And get your emotions out that way, instead of harboring them.
Well, for those of us that you know, want to pursue these creative endeavors, how do you sort of make sure the antenna is up so you can tap into that stuff, so you can pick up those frequencies?
You know, you gotta be willing to be selfless with it, you know, and don't think about anything else other than the task at hand, and then stop thinking about that at a certain moment. And the only way you can do that is if you become so comfortable with the arrangement and the instrument and so on and so forth, and your gear, you become so comfortable that you don't have to think about anything else around you, because the guitar can be an extension of yourself, and likewise for your singing voice. And you know the lyrics because you wrote them, or you helped write them, or you memorized them, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you can kind of keep your antenna up and then just focus on the real beauty of it, which is just doing something special,
Yeah.
letting it flow through you, you know?
Yeah. On that journey to being able to have that kind of facility on the guitar, where did guitar start for you? I mean, I think a lot of us know basically your entire existence has been with a guitar in your hands almost.
Yeah, man, I'd say that's accurate. It all started for me in the back room at my grandfather's house. I had this big blue chair, and I had an old television set, and I just watched cartoons and play guitar. And I had a miniature Les Paul,
Nice.
and then I got a Squire Strat shortly thereafter, and you know, I just spend a lot of time back there. My grandfather had this kind of it was before tablature, so it was like this medieval thing that he'd written out. It was the 6 strings, and he had a tracing, like a drawing of my hand over the strings, and he would kind of point out where everything goes. And he taught my dad and my uncles the same way. My grandfather was a real stickler about melody and about simplicity and, you know, a reverence and the honoring of the music. And my father was, you know, riff-oriented. My grandfather was like, you know, you should be able to anticipate when the 4 is coming, you know, that kind of thing. It was almost like philosophical for him, like, you should be able to read everybody's mind up here. And the importance of like being quiet and being reserved and letting a few passes happen. So it was almost like, because he played bass in church. So as a bass player, and I did a little bass playing professionally too, but I almost try to think about it like a bass player. You know, less is more, and then you figure out what's going on, and then you can say what you got to say.
That's cool. And when you're starting out, I mean, we're at Guitar Center, so we know there's like Enter Sandman and there's like Sweet Child of Mine, like all those riffs that people start off with. But like, what were some of those early riffs for you?
I really got into Skinnerd, like early Skinnerd, like that first and second record, Allman Brothers Band, Charlie Daniels Band, Marshall Tucker Band, huge. And I just listened to everything I could get my hands on. A lot of Otis Redding and James Brown, Sam Cooke, Aretha Franklin. And then I got really into like the lore of like a Duane Allman or like Ronnie Van Zant. I would read everything I could about the person that I knew was creating this thing that seemed almost otherworldly to me. But I had the same respect and reverence for my dad and my grandfather and their friends too in that circle. You know, the local musicians, because everyone in here, you know, knows a guy in their hometown that is just astounding. But he didn't want to go and, you know, deal with all the other bullshit. And I got, you know, a few guys I could mention right now that just play circles around most folks and probably have a better attitude too. But I guess I lose sight of what the question was. What was that?
Well, it was, is there a particular song, riff, lick, solo, or something that you could show us where something clicked for you while you were on your way up?
So there was this compilation album Polydor put out of the first 2 Brothers records, and this song was on it. I think it was actually a King Curtis arrangement, but hearing that, that atonal stuff mixed with the harmony guitars and mixed with the sound of a big group, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was smitten from that point. Yeah.
And so, starting off with the little baby Les Paul, I guess Gibson has always been around for you, too?
Oh, yeah. Gibson, always the go-to. It was the Cadillac of guitars in my household. My grandfather played Big Red, which was his 345 that I have now, and my dad played an SG. My uncle actually played a deluxe, a Les Paul Deluxe, and he played a Marauder.
Cool.
Yeah, those are pretty neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so it's always been there, huh? That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get Big Red up here in just a minute, but there was something that you said about bass, and I was thinking back to the arrangement on Hero, and it's got this, like, the record has this, like, funky groove, and it's got this, like, soul funk bass line in there, and it's just, like, it makes you bounce, and it makes you, can you just talk a little bit about the session or the creation of the tune?
Yeah. The way I did that record with Rick Rubin, and Rick's actually here. Come on. I'm just kidding. I don't know if they'd let him in here without shoes on. Rick likes to, the way I describe his production style is like a mosaic, artist. He kind of, I bring him like a stained glass of composition that I put together, and then together we kind of smash it into a million bits, and then we start putting it together, and sometimes you find a new creation out of all these little pieces. And Rick likes to make sure that everything structurally, necessary is there for the song, and everything is 100% needs to be there. And then you start piecemealing it back in. If you want to add some things in just for aesthetics, it's like the drapes in your house don't necessarily keep it from falling down, but they look nice. So we got it down to just the steel beams, basically, of the songs. And with a song like Hero, I tried to play bass on. I played bass on a good portion of the record, but with this one, I just really couldn't find that thing. So I phoned to my buddy Kevin Scott, he lives up in New York City now. And he was out on the road with us for a bit. He's a dear old friend of mine, and he always knows exactly what to play. So he played on this number, and he played on a song on the record called Bipolar Love, too.
Cool. Yeah, it's just like got this deep soul thing, and then of course your voice is just ripping. So when you're in the studio, what kind of mic are you using on your vocals? Like, are you going full classic vintage gear in order to capture the vintage vibe?
I think for that song, I cut vocals for that when I was out in Italy at Rick's place, and I want to recall we were using a U47 for that, an old one. But a lot of times I just like to use a SM7.
Yeah.
But, the point's been made. If you got enough outboard gear, SM7 always sounds great. But
Yeah.
you can sing through like one of those paper towel rolls if you got the right outboard gear.
Which we all do. I mean, we all sing through the paper towel roll. It's just one of the things that you have to do.
Oh, yeah. Or sword fight with it.
Yeah. So let's get another guitar up here. Let's get a junior up here, because I want to hear another tune, of course, but of course I want to see another guitar. So I'll take this. We'll do the old guitar shuffle.
I'll get it for Jim.
Give it up for Jim. Thanks, Jim.
Atlanta's finest, baby. So, yeah, this is a Les Paul Jr. And I picked these two guitars because the SG and Les Paul Jr., they're both just kind of circling, the Les Paul. And I just kind of like that they're like the ugly stepchildren to the, the Scholar.
Yeah.
That is the Les Paul.
So with the Junior, I mean, it is very bare bones with the single P90. What is it that you like, or what is it that you find sort of inspiring when you sort of reduce variables?
Well, I think I share a lot of Rick's philosophy as far as like getting away with less and not muddying up, not having too many options, And oftentimes in my life, like I try to wear the same thing every day. I try not to think about what I got to do, as far as like if you can eliminate little things like you eat the same thing every day, you wear the same thing every day, it just allows your mind to just be filled with so many more, creative ideas. And I sound like a maniac, really. But
It's making perfect sense to me.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you picked this guitar to match up with Inglewood Motel. And is there a reason specific to that, or was it another vibe that you got?
Yeah. So I wrote this song during the pandemic. We were doing these shows out at PGP, and we were doing these like live stream shows, just like how you're watching at home. And it was so incredibly challenging because we had a 12-piece band and we had guests coming in, and we had to, make sure everybody was socially like separated and all this and that. But me and the band got tested together and whatnot, so we would party together afterwards. And one of those parties that went until like 7 in the morning. One of those late nights sitting reading the Bible, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And by the time we got around to Revelation, we decided it was time to go home. And when I got home, me and my girlfriend at the time, we got in a really bad argument. So I took my Cadillac over to Inglewood Motel. I don't know why the hell. I mean, I wasn't doing that great, but I could have stayed anywhere else. I guess I was living over on that side of town. So I was like, that's the first motel I could think of. So I went there, and I pulled up. I'm like the most conspicuous, clientele they could have at that hour of the morning in my Cadillac. And he was like, we don't have any rooms at this hour. And I was like, man, I'm going to go sleep in the parking lot over here. And if you want to give me a room, that'd be great. And it was raining, and he was so nice and so kind to me to give me a room. A few hours before check-in. I didn't realize they had a check-in time there. But he gave me a key, and I kind of just went and just laid low there for the day. And I wrote this song with my buddy Peter Levin, who's a Nashville resident. If you're watching, Pete, I love you. And he's just an incredible writer and pianist. He worked in the Greg Allman Band for years, and he's just a wonderful dude. And we wrote this song together. And I don't know, the Junior just is such a tried and true. It's a classic. It's just such a loyal, instrument. It made me think more of my writing partner on this song than the song itself. But there used to be a line in this song about Inglewood Motel, but we ended up taking that out in the production. But
Well, also, it has this, almost like this, Jay Dilla kind of hip-hop groove to it, where it's, not exactly dead-on beat kind of thing, and it's got this, whole kind of, I don't know, it's, sort of exploding genres or combining a bunch of different genres. How'd you end up on, the feel of the tune?
so me and the band actually kind of worked out the feel initially, and my horn players who played on it, Chris Bees kind of gave me that kind of descending melody that you hear with the flute. And I mean, just the lyrics that we wrote, it all just kind of came together like this. And in the studio, I had Corey Henry and Chris Dave, and
Cool.
Chris Dave really is
Amazing.
he's incredible, and he's a student of the Jay Dilla stuff, and Corey and myself as well. So we kind of took a page out of that book, and you know, those that came before us, like Soul Live.
Yeah. Well, it's a really cool little vignette. Like when I'm listening to it, I can picture the whole scene that you just laid out. So let's all go there in our minds together. Shall we, everyone?
Stubborn spirit, restless child. No direction, less a mind run wild. Daughter of the universe, sister to the cosmos. Sweet little angel wants to be wherever I go. Seen her out the window, she's the eye of the storm. Hell has no feeling like a woman's scorn, no. Open conversation infiltrated by surveillance. Action at cadence exhausted all the patience. There's a hailstorm falling. I need shelter or you'll wash me away. She can hear me calling when the wind rolls in, wildflowers and sand. I hear your name. She just needs some time to understand why. Never could save me from myself. No, we need a break, not much more than she could take. Before I just became bad for health. Take all the time you need, we shouldn't let it bleed. Just apply some pressure before you leave, baby. 'Cause I injected you into my veins. Tried to chase some pleasure through our pain. There's a hailstorm falling. I need shelter or she'll wash me away. She can hear me calling. Oh, when the wind blows in, wildflowers and sand, I hear your name. Thank you.
Gorgeous, I said, with the mic off. Just a reminder to everybody on the stream, drop your questions. We're going to get to a few of your questions in just a few minutes. So on that tune, especially right off the bat in the intro, you get this hook, this little guitar hook. Can you teach us how to play that? Because it's so infectious and you just like want to loop it.
This one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Marty Schwartz could have a better time teaching. Basically, what you got there is what you're going to want to do is you're going You want to take a D flat major 7, see? And you're going to move that F at the top. Move that up a half step and then play that high B flat, right? Then you got an A flat, or an A major 7, excuse me. And then you do the same thing with the E major 7. And it is a loop, like it was meant to kind of sound like it was sampled, right?
Yeah. It sounds really, I don't know, it's like infectious. Like you just want it to keep going. So when you're doing that, when you're writing it, does that happen to you? Like you get into the zone and you just loop it and some more ideas come from that?
Yeah, when we wrote this one especially, I just kind of like melodically just stream of consciousness through all these lyrics on the page while Pete looped these chords. And he'd throw out a word whenever I get stuck. It's one of the most fluid writing processes I've ever had.
Really cool.
With this song.
Yeah, do you find that happens, like maybe it's the pressure of being in the studio or maybe having a deadline, like sometimes you can just like make some magic happen where you're like, we got to get this done by the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised what you can come up with through adversity or through like time crunches. And sometimes you just find out it's not meant to be.
Right.
And those days are unfortunate, but with this record, we definitely took our time.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to see today is a lot of you playing guitar and singing at the same time. And for a lot of players out there, that's challenging. And so Caleb on the stream wants to know, how do you make it look so easy?
Well, a lot like my anxiety or anything like that, I akin it to like a duck, not my dog, but like a duck on water. They look really peaceful and really, like they got it together. But if you flip them on their head, the legs are kicking, man. And that's pretty much how it is. I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
It's a lot like patting your head and rubbing your belly.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be some kind of point where you just go, I can't be conscious about this thing happening. Somebody distract me or I'm going to think too much, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, we talked about the Bible earlier. You spend enough hours, like, I've always made the comparison to, like, I don't know if any of y'all went to Sunday school growing up like I did, but when I think it was Peter was walking on the water with Christ, and as soon as he took his eyes off Christ, he fell under the water like a stone. That's kind of how it is on stage. Once I think about it too much, that's where I really sink. Just don't think about it.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Let it go. Nice. And when you write, which comes first, or have you experienced it in different ways? Delta Dawn 1340 is interested to know, does it start with you for a lick? Do you get a melody, lyrics or melody?
A lot of times it's lyrics for me. And lately I write on the piano a lot because I'm not as well versed on the piano, and melodically I'm a little bit more challenged and a little bit more limited to what I'm able to do. So it really allows me to focus more on the lyrical content and say more with that, and provide less in the way of a like chordally, like I'm not overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
Like on the guitar, like with this, for example, it worked for me because it was like a loop, like you said. So it worked for me to be able to, because there's it's a really dense tune. Like Inglewood has a lot of chordal information and a lot of lyrical information happening all at once, but it kind of works just because of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the times it's lyrics that come first, and then the chords I kind of find accompany them.
And so that's really, I guess, is that the magic of arranging and producing, figuring out what needs to be complicated and what needs to be simple? Because it can't not every part can be complicated. Sometimes you got to strip it down.
whatever feels real, you know, and natural. If it's natural for you to do it this way, and it's this insanely complicated concoction, then if that's natural, then do it. But if you're doing it, it all comes down to intention. And if your intention is to play something over the top or insanely complicated just because you want to show people that you can do that, as long as you're being true to yourself and you know that that's the intention and the end result, then it'll work. But if you're trying to make something fit, it's like that clip of Sting and his drummer, what's his name?
Stuart Copeland.
Yeah, Copeland tried to fit that riff in there, and it's kind of like that clip. I think about that a lot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the magic, I guess, of like being in a band and doing the collaboration is like sometimes that tension
I love
sparks
Stuart
those great
Copeland,
ideas.
though, by
Oh,
the way.
yeah.
He's insanely talented, and would love to work with you someday, Stuart. I know he watches these too.
That's right. Stuart, nice to see you again. Ryan Express wants to know, do you physically write down ideas? Like, do you record voice memos? Do you write it down on pencil and paper? What's your method there?
I like having a pen and pad around. I usually keep a pen and pad around the house. I got my handy-dandy iPhone. Record a lot of voice memos when I'm driving, so I don't have to take my eyes off the road. Don't take your eyes off the road, kids. You know.
Yeah. It sort of comes all ways, though, right? Like, whatever you got around to work with.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
kind of work with what you got on hand.
Nice. So, I want to do, let me see what we got here. Oh, we got another question here.
Sure.
I don't know. I can't see it. It's not in here. We'll come back to it. We want to do something a little special here, though. We want to maybe switch it out and maybe change it up and do a little acoustic guitar, maybe?
Yeah, sure, man.
Let's do that. I got this one right here. We've got a lovely little hummingbird here. And Jim.
If you want to swap it out
Oh, yeah.
for 3,
Oh, yeah, perfect.
it's like this. Oh.
This is our, the old classic guitar shuffle, gang.
It made me think, when you said I can't see, it made me think the first time I worked with J. Johnny Johnson, J-Mo from the Allman Brothers Band. My bass player, who had a real habit of putting his foot in his mouth. I love him so much, and he's like, "Man, J-Mo, I really like those glasses." And all he said was, "I can't see." Which is like, I gotta wear them because I
Yeah.
can't see. But I thought that was really funny.
So this is a tangent now, but like my whole life is like remembering an audio drop anytime something. Does that just happen to you? Like if you had a drop board walking around with you, you would just hit that button? Like is that,
Oh, yeah.
does everything have like sort of like a musical or an auditory sort of reference for you?
Yeah, that's me and my whole band. It's like
Yeah.
the whole day is just like yelling out quotes from movies and TV shows, songs.
Yeah, it must have something to do with being a musician. You just hear that stuff and it's just like a hook of a tune.
Yeah, it just kind of gets stuck in your head.
Well, one of the things that I can do now is see George's question. And so George wants to know, what's your favorite song and favorite pedals to be most of the time on, except the Tube Screamer?
Whoa. Dang, I thought I had it in the bag. Shoot, you threw me, George. I usually have the, I can never remember the name of this damn pedal.
The Roto Vibe?
Yeah, what? What's the original one called?
What is the original? This is a trivia
See?
question for everybody at home playing
Yeah,
along. Please
I
Google
usually-
for us.
I usually have that on because it
What was the
creates-
original Roto Vibe called?
Yeah.
Oh, the old
Univibe.
Univibe. There we go, everybody.
Yeah, there you go. We got it. Yeah, Univibe. But to answer your question, like, Spanish Flea plays in my head whenever I can't think of something. Herb Albert, Carol Kay on the bass. Yeah, Univibe, I usually keep that on, George. George, you really derailed us, man. I mean, Yeah, that one stays on quite a bit. And what was the other part of the question?
Well, just accept the Tube Screamer, and then also favorite song to play.
Favorite song to play? Probably, man, we play Ramblin' Man a little bit.
Yeah.
Every now and again, and I never get tired of playing that song. It is such a well-known song, but to be as popular and to be as just like revered as it is, she agrees.
Yeah.
You know, it just never gets old to me. I love that song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just got that magic to it. You know, those dual lead guitars are just like the most lilting, singing thing you ever heard in your life. So Marcus wants to know. Oh wait, you're Marcus. John wants to know. How did you develop your approach to playing those softer and more soulful chords?
Man, I just took everything I did and just did it about 70%. I mean, to be honest, I just wanted, it's a lot like, you know, the care and the approach that you're going to take to something. It's in your hands, you know, so just soften it up a little bit. Like, you don't dap your mama up the same way you do your buds. Like, when I hug my mom, I don't pat her on the back the same way I do my boys. But just kind of think about what's in your hands and what you're trying to convey. And if it's a little bit more delicate, just be a little more delicate in your approach. And there's a lot of things you can do in your tone, and just work that volume knob. The volume knob is your friend.
Nice. That's a good lesson for everybody out there. You can turn down.
You can.
It is possible. All right, so the next song that we're going to hear is actually unreleased. This is an unreleased brand new thing. So what are we going to hear?
So it's a number, I guess I was like, I put this one up on socials not too long ago. Just felt like sharing it with folks, and it's a song called Die Alone, and I wrote it sometime last year, and just wanted people to hear it, and I guess I just got a little angry because it wasn't going to come out as soon as I wanted it to, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'll put it out myself. Now I'm here at Guitar Center and I get to play it again.
Well, let's not delay it any further. Let's get it out there for everybody to hear it.
I lost one too many bets, stayed up smoking cigarettes, all tuned up on bottom shelf relief. Whiskey waltzing round the room, hopeful just to get home soon. Spirits gently lay me down to sleep. Diesel engine mausoleum, I got friends but I don't see them. Spirits gently lay me down to sleep. When the bus gets back to Greenville, I'll already be back home. Don't mind dying, but don't wanna die alone. Don't mind dying, but don't wanna die alone. Crossed every line but saved a few, so I could have some more to do to keep me from ever really coming down. So might I down stage tonight just to stay in your spotlight? Swear I'll give my all to this next town. Diesel engine mausoleum, I got friends but I don't see them. Just gently tear me down to sleep. When the bus gets back to Greenville, I'll already be back home. Don't mind dying, but don't wanna die alone. Don't mind dying, but don't wanna die alone. I'll already be back home. I don't mind dying, but don't wanna die alone. Thank you.
So it's seemingly a sad sort of premise here, but like there's so much magic in singing a sad song. And there's so much magic in sort of like getting into that feeling. So is it a sad song? And do you enjoy maybe sometimes just sort of like wading through that kind of vibe for a little bit?
Well, it's a lot happier on this side of it, but when I wrote it, the song's about, dying on the road instead of dying alone at home. And that's really what it's about. And the Diesel Engine Mausoleum's a tour bus. I'd rather die around my buddies doing what I love, which was playing music and, reading the Bible after the
Of
show.
course, yeah.
So that was kind of the concept of that song. I was going to take myself out. I'll do it, that way on the road. So it's a lot easier to sing it now.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten through that, and got married to a really wonderful gal who's really helped me get through a lot of that. So it's easier to sing now. So it's almost more of a joyous song now because it's something that I conquered and got through.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be out on Republic Records here soon. Maybe next year.
Well, that brings up this idea. There's a lot of us who have done time touring around, burning ourselves out, working too hard, traveling too much. How do you sort of set that balance for your life now?
I love being on the road. It's one of my favorite things. I love waking up in a new city, finding the best coffee spot around, maybe, a local music store, and I just love hearing different accents when I wake up in the morning. It's something that never gets old to me. I love traveling. I fucking hate the airport, but I love traveling by the bus. I love traveling by bus and waking up and, the things that you see and you witness at Pilot gas stations at 3 in the morning are unlike, it's like being on a different planet, it's so bizarre and it's so unique to what we do for a living, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'm so thankful I get to tour as much as I do, and we don't have any youngins running around yet, and my boy Duck, he travels with me on the bus, so I'm really thankful to be able to do it as much as we do.
Yeah, I mean, can you just talk a little bit about the camaraderie of being in a band and being on the road? Like, is there anything more fun on earth than just being on the bus making jokes?
No.
It's the best.
It's such good therapy. I'll be so depressed, and then after the gig, we'll sit and just laugh so hard till your cheeks hurt and your rib cage is aching, and that's my favorite thing. It's my favorite activity, sitting around laughing at those dummies.
And reading the Bible, of course.
Yeah.
So we want to know here, let's see. Michael and his son are watching at home,
Hey, Michael.
and they want to know, would you rather play a small venue or a large venue?
I guess it depends on the night, I was busy yesterday. I missed my therapy appointment, so this is nice. This is intimate. This is a lot like therapy. But if I'm trying to hide, sometimes, it's really the opposite. The bigger crowds are less intimidating because it's just kind of a vast sea. Like when we're out opening for Stapleton or Childers or something like that, it's like a sea of people. Some are more judgmental than others, but it's a lot like a bed of nails is the way I talk about it, because you lay on a bed of nails and they're all the same level. You don't feel them, but the more nails you take away, the more you're going to feel them. So that's kind of how a crowd is to me. This is a nice bed of nails.
Nice. That's good. Well, it feels good to be part of it. It feels good to be part of a team supporting you and not stabbing you. So I think it's pretty cool.
I do. I hate being stabbed.
So AJ is looking for some advice. Finding people to collaborate or gig with. What are some of the ways that you found some great people to work with? And what do you think AJ should do?
Anybody that's willing to buy a van with you, because that locks them in. They can't go anywhere. Because they know you don't have enough to buy them out of the van that you guys are purchasing together. But buying a van together is my first advice. And anybody that's willing to do that and they want to get the hell out of their hometown, anybody, you can tolerate enough to share a bed with if you need to. That's really how you weed them out, There was a lot of musicians we worked with, we lost a few to, college,
Sure.
to education. I'm happy for them. And we lost a few to just, you go a little crazy out there, but that's where that sense of humor kind of comes from. But you just got to find somebody as crazy as you, and you'll find them. They're out there. They want to get out of there as much as you do. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, you'll find those people.
Nice. Well, going beyond maybe who's around your hometown or who you can sort of find, bringing up names like Rick Rubin and Dan Auerbach, when you're working with these people in the studio, is there some sort of like a common set of attributes that they have where you're like, oh, this is what makes a good collaborator? Like, these are the things that I'm looking for somebody I'm going to make music with?
I wouldn't say there's like a blueprint to it because, like Dan and Rick, for example, because you brought them up, like those two are really similar in a lot of ways, and they're really dissimilar in a lot of ways. And truth be told, Rick is dissimilar to almost everybody. But it's really those like unique attributes that make you want to work with somebody. It's the things that they bring to the table that you didn't even realize were missing. So I don't really have a defined set of rules or guideline that I like to go by. Having a functioning studio, just the common sense ones for sure. But even Rick for that case, when I showed up in Italy, I was going to play bass on a few things, and the bass was missing a machine head, and they just had a bass and a machine head. And most cases, you show up, the parts aren't sold separate.
Yeah.
And in this case, they were, so I kind of had to figure that out. My boy Cody was with me at the time, and he, really somehow made that bass make noise. But there's no real set, rules or anything like that.
Well, last time that we talked to you, it was at Crossroads. The first time that we talked to you was at Crossroads. And, mentioning Stapleton or playing with like Clapton or Gary Clark Jr. or, all of these sort of these icons of playing the instrument. What are some of the, tips, tricks, life lessons, et cetera, that you've learned from some of them?
Man, I really have been thankful to meet a lot of my heroes and make a lot of new friends. Like Gary Clark, he's such a sweetheart of a guy. And anytime we get to work together, it's really, really a treat. Meeting Eric Clapton was massive for me, but being able to introduce him to my dad was even a bigger deal for me. So that's the kind of memories that I hold really close. And I feel like I get a lot of life lessons from those kind of people through osmosis, because the kind of people I look up to aren't necessarily going to sit and lecture you or make you feel like you have a lot to learn from them. Because if they were, I probably wouldn't look up to them if they acted that way. So a lot of the things is just from having the access to these people and being around them, and just being able to pick up a lot of the, the ways they conduct themselves in situations. So just always keep your head on a swivel if you're looking to grow, that is.
Just pay attention and see what you can pick up.
Yeah, it's like driving.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember everything, but there's a few things you might want to keep in mind, like the speed limit and, your next turn, that kind of thing.
All right, so here we go. We're going to go back to some questions here. As you're someone originally from the Carolinas, have you had favorite cities or places in South or North Carolina that were like your stomping grounds growing up, that were like your favorite spots to play? It's a very Carolina-specific question.
Hey, to my Carolina fans, I love Carolinas. All my family's still in the Carolinas, and Asheville was kind of our adopted hometown when we first started out. Asheville would take us, and that kind of made us feel like hometown boys. And then later, Greenville really adopted us not adopted us, but they, came around to embracing us as one of their own. Not that they didn't before, I just think they didn't know who the hell we were. And Asheville, they really embraced us early on. So I'd say Asheville, North Carolina, but I love Wilmington. I mean, my favorite burger spot in all the world is in Raleigh. It's called Mojo's. If you're in Raleigh, you should go check out Mojo's. I'd go out of the way to go there, I've had long enough layovers in Raleigh that I've gone to Mojo's. It's that good, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Well, I mean, Greenville, my hometown, like, there wasn't much going on when I was a kid, but it's grown up quite a bit. They got rooftop bars now, Steve.
Wow.
If you're into that kind of thing.
That's a true sign that they're really stepping it up.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to know if you felt a moment, or if you felt more of like a gradual progression in starting out, touring around your hometown, maybe venturing out a little further. I mean, to get to the point where you're on tour with Stapleton, you gotta sort of level up. And so, like, what was that progression like for you? Like, for a lot of us, we start off, we're like stopping by Guitar Center and playing guitars, and maybe we put together a band. But like, what was it like to sort of take it to that next level?
Well, it was kind of the same for me. Maybe it started a little earlier. My dad worked at a music store. We would frequent the Guitar Center. But, I'd spend a lot of time around that local shop that he worked at, just playing piano and just getting piano lessons from anybody walking by that worked at the shop, playing guitars for hours on end. It was a lot of that. And then it was a lot of just going out and working with people and meeting like-minded individuals who, wanted to buy a van with you. And, going through a few of those vans, catching on fire on the side of the road, all those little experiences that you have that are, that's what kind of make you grow as an individual and as a band. And like me and my drummer, he's carried me out of more places than I can certainly remember, and much higher than I can count, I'm sure. But we've always been there for each other. So you just got to get out there and you got to do it. And I know that's not really the answer that a lot of people want to hear, but it's true. When I was in high school, I booked the band, but I did it under a fake name, Robert O'Neill.
Nice.
That was the email that you were getting if you were booking the Marcus King Band in 2012, 2013. Robert O'Neill would hit you up and talk about his act, his boys, his clients. And I'd go as far as I could and still get home in the morning to go to school. and I just kept it on like a 3 or 4 hour radius, and we were working like 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you got the passion and the gumption and the wherewithal to do it, it's all really about the love of it. And I think Coltrane said you got to be willing to die for it. And I guess what he meant by that was, you got to be willing to be uncomfortable at least.
Yeah.
If you don't want to die for it, at least be uncomfortable a little bit.
At least share a bed with your drummer.
Sometimes you got to do that. I am a nocturnal cuddler, so nobody wanted to share a bed with me. So I ended up getting to bed to myself a lot of times just because,
Yeah.
real grabby at night, I guess.
Well, outside of, being on the road, being in the grind, James is interested to know, like, aside from music, what do you like to do? How do you escape? How do you unwind?
That's something I struggle with, really.
James says he'll give you free surf lessons.
Whoa, surf! I've had 2 surfing lessons in my life, so maybe I'll take you up on that. There is something really, really great about being out there on the water. Really kind of takes you away a lot, like music does. But like with surfing or with golf or damn near anything, really, like. The type of personality I have is like when I find something I like, I become really passionate about it and I want to be the best at it. And it's a leisure activity for a reason, so you're never going to get that good at it. I just hate going out and being bad at something. And my drummer gives me a hard time about the golf thing because like I just didn't take to it naturally, so I just kind of gave up and I quit going. And I'm like that with a lot of things, but I do love fishing. And I love training my dog and working with him. What else do I like to do? I got a lot of activities I like to do, but for the most part, I like going to see a movie with my wife, or
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy to keep entertained, honestly.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the next tune, you seem to have a pretty close relationship with comedians, and I'm wondering what's the connection between musicians and comedians? Do they want to be musicians, and musicians all want to be stand-ups?
Well, I think that's on the surface for sure. But if you play music all night, when you come off the stage, you want to hear something, that's not music. So a lot of times we go to the, especially like the type of music we play and the way the show we like to deliver, we kind of leave everything on the stage. So you want to have something that's a little irreverent after the gig. So it'll be a movie or it'll be like a comedy podcast or a stand-up special. And we've been lucky enough to work with people like Dean Del Rey and Dan Soder, Big J. Okerson, and hang out with people like Bill Burr. And Bill Burr plays drums before he goes on stage. And we listen to comedy before we go on stage because taking that, you can't take yourself too serious. And if you do, the joke's kind of on you, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just having a good sense of humor. I feel like musicians and comedians kind of find themselves in those same weird, Twilight Zone pilot gas station situations. So we kind of have that same, like, observant, thing. We just let it out in different ways. You see somebody yelling at a stewardess or a flight attendant on a airplane, you're internally kind of making the same note, like, what a jackass.
Well, yeah. They
But-
got a 3-minute bit and you have a 3-minute song.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to write a song necessarily about that guy, but he's gonna influence something later creatively. And we observe kind of the same way because we both have that creative brain. And everybody has that creative brain. You just got to listen.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the next tune and the next guitar, I just wanted to let you know that this is a store stock Hummingbird.
Yeah, it is.
And when one of our customers found out you were playing it tonight, he's like, I'm buying it right now.
Whoa. Sight unseen, I love it.
So I'm curious for you, how does that make you feel to know that somebody's like, whoa, Marcus played this? Like, I got to get it. Like, what is that impact on players like for you?
I'm just wondering if I get a commission.
Absolutely. We'll cut you a check.
I'm just kidding. Man, I mean, that means such a great deal to me. Like, and I can relate to that, like you said about comedians, you know, people I look up to. I've had such an incredible life, and I've got a lot more to live, thanks to a lot of good friends and a lot of good therapy and all that. But, you know, like Bill Murray at the Crossroads where we met, you know, it was around the time Gibson was putting out that Firebird 1, the Clapton one, and Bill likes to go out and dress like Clapton through the years. So he was playing that guitar dressed up like Cream era Clapton, and, you know, I called Cody, my gal at Gibson, hey Cody, called her and said, I got to have the one that Murray played, that Bill Murray played. So I'd imagine, you know, maybe people feel the same way, like whoever's buying this Hummingbird today, hope I get to meet you. But that makes me feel really, really special. If I could make somebody feel half as great as Bill Murray's made me and everybody else feel, you know, that's a special feeling.
Nice. That's amazing. So let's do it. Let's go full circle and get Big Red up here.
Let's get Papa out here.
Thank you, Jim. Everybody make some noise for Jim.
Yeah, Jim's a badass. He knows it. All right. So this is Big Red.
So we've seen that you've had the signature Marcus King ES345.
Yep.
And this is the sort of the grandfather of that instrument, right?
Yeah, this is the real deal here, man. You know, Jim Lillard down when there was a Memphis Gibson, he took this guitar and just, you know, did everything but sleep beside it for like 2 weeks, and he really got it locked in just right. And then the custom shop here in Nashville, you know, everybody did such a great job and put so much energy and so much love into that instrument. It was something I was really, really very proud to, you know, to sell and to be able to give, because my dad gave me this guitar a few years after my grandfather passed, and, you know, about 10 years after that, I was able to give him, you know, and my uncle a replica of it, and that meant a lot to me and to the family.
Really cool. Yeah. And so what is, I guess maybe could you describe for us like what the mojo is inside this guitar? Like what does it evoke in you and your playing?
It's got a lot of stories, you know, and it's a really versatile guitar too. I mean, you know, Yorma from Jefferson Airplane, he used to play one of these. He said it had all these settings. It was like suck, 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 BB. And I always think about that. I never move the baritone. But it's just such an interesting guitar to me. I love the sideways vibrola. I've got mine locked down just so I could have a little more stability in the tuning. You know, it's got PAFs in it, so it'll get up and go. It'll drive when it needs to drive, and sometimes it'll coast when it needs to coast. Yeah.
So the song that you're going to play Big Red for is Goodbye Carolina, speaking of Carolinas. So why did you pick this guitar to pair with Goodbye Carolina?
Well, this guitar feels like home to me, and I use this guitar every night for Goodbye Carolina. I wrote that song while I was in middle of nowhere, France, and a friend of mine had just committed suicide, and the last time I saw him was actually here in Nashville at Marathon. He was tour managing this really great group and called Dark Star Orchestra. He was their tour manager, and you know, he was just a really wonderful guy. His name was Matt Reynolds, but I was just in this middle of nowhere, but I saw an apparition of Matt in the room, and like saw him, felt his energy, his presence, and I got to the notepad, and it's like he really wrote the song through me, is what it felt like. So I credit a lot of the writing of this song to him, because there's no particular rhyme scheme or anything in some areas of the song, and you know, it just felt like if he had left a note behind, he would have said something like this.
Nice. Let's do it.
Yep. I dreamed of the day when I'd hold you in my arms again, read you all the letters I wrote but never sent, and give you all the pieces of me to put them back together, to put them back together again. Life has a way of writing your story for you. The hero doesn't always get his girl. What if you could change the ending to the novel they've been writing, leave no resolution? So goodbye, Carolina. Searched my whole life to find you. Hate to leave you, but I hope you know where I'm going, I'll be seeing you. So hold my hand as I'm leaving. All my pain would be enough reason. I'll see you on the other side of the Blue Ridge sky. Now I'm going, hate to tell you goodbye. Said it takes a selfish man to leave on out from his own hometown without saying why he's going. You can come and take the rest of me early in the morning. Tell me your goodbye. I'm going, I won't have these reminders what I lost, what was taken away from me. But I hope you'll understand, I was a broken man in my own hometown, need to find my own peace. So goodbye, Carolina. Searched my whole life to find you. Hate to leave you, but I hope you know where I'm going, I'll be seeing you. So hold my hand as I'm leaving. Thought my pain would be enough reason. I'll see you on the other side of the Blue Ridge sky. Now I'm going, hate to tell you goodbye. So goodbye, Carolina. Searched my whole life to find you. Hate to leave you, but I hope you know where I'm going, I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you. Thank you.
It's amazing how a tune can just sort of snap you right into a vibe, like everybody was instantly mesmerized. So with that little guitar thing, you got like a little hammer-on thing going in there.
Yeah.
It's got this sort of like, I don't know, pretty classic feel to it. Can you show us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, man. I've never really unpacked this one before, but you're kind of working off this D minor shape here. You know, you're kind of letting the riff do the chord progression for you.
Yeah, it's just got that kind of, like, how'd you develop your right-handed finger picking kind of stuff? That's a challenge
still-
for a lot of us.
I'm still kind of
Pick
trying to
users.
develop it, you know. It just, I don't know, it just kind of happened. I don't really know how to.
You're just like always improving, always trying something new, but it's just sort of like a feel for you.
Yeah, man, you know, I'm always trying to grow in every way. So with the right hand, you know, I'll tuck this pick away and I'll just do some finger picking stuff. And that just, I mean, that lends itself really well to something like that that's a little bit more emotive because you can really hear the, you know,
Yeah.
there's no disconnect. There's no little piece of, you know, whatever this is, in between you and the string. It's direct contact.
Yeah. And so how do you find, I mean, I guess maybe you don't find this to be an issue, but like, would you have any piece of advice for those of us out there, you know, we're learning to play, we're developing our skill set, but like the idea of like connecting your heart to your hands and having it flow out. Like, do you have any advice for somebody to sort of find their own sound?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want your personality to shine through unless you got a shitty personality. But, I mean, as long as there's no blockage between here and here, you know, just get it out. No blockages when the heart is concerned, ever, you know.
So, following up that very astute piece of advice, Annie is interested in knowing, where did you get that hat?
eBay. I got this on eBay. A fella actually reached out recently. I guess this was his family's tractor supply place. He wanted to buy the hat off me, but it's not for sale. But I thought that was really cool, man, you know.
Yeah.
But I collect these hats, these old John Deere hats off of, I find a lot of them on eBay and stuff.
Nice. Well, now everybody knows the secret. The prices are going to go up.
I hope not.
I mean, not everybody could pull that off, that's for sure. So, looking ahead to the future, you know, we're getting a lot of questions. When's the next Marcus signature guitar? Is there anything you can say there? It's okay if it's still a secret. But people are just curious as to, you know, if there's going to be a follow-up, if there's going to be more signature guitars.
Absolutely will be. As long as there's a Marcus King and a Gibson in this world, you know, there'll be more to be said. I'd keep an eye out. I'd keep a kind ear to the ground for that.
Cool. And then also looking forward to just like, I don't know, maybe like the future of music in general. There's a certain amount of sort of like, I don't know, digitized production or this idea of AI. Where do you sort of see, I don't know, either the roots of music sustaining themselves through the future or any cool things that you're looking forward to in the future of music?
Well, you know, I always kind of say, like, the things I like are things that kind of stand the test of time, and it seems like fashion trends and, you know, music trends, all these things are kind of cyclical, but it's things that kind of hold up, you know. It's things that age really well and really gracefully. It's like there's a market for vintage guitars, there's a market for vintage boots and clothes, but, you know, I just don't see anybody in 30 years trying to find, you know, vintage cargo shorts from Hollister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some things just don't hold up. Some things are flash in the pan, and some things are really neat. And the thing I like about analog gear is that all the things I use on the stage were readily available to musicians in the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s. And when it comes to like the digital side of it, it feels like it updates every couple of years. And that's just one man's opinion, you know. There's plenty of examples of people embracing new technology, like Hendrix and Zappa and Clapton all embraced the wah pedal, which was originally made to make you sound like a trombone. And nobody wanted to sound like a trombone, but they made it sound like them. And they embraced new technology, and they didn't, you know, throw it off to the wayside. So, you know, there's something to be said for, you know, embracing new technology, but not forgetting, you know, the root of it all, which is just to be truthful. So
That's a beautiful sentiment. So I think we're going to close it out on that. We're going to say goodbye to everybody on the stream. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Marcus, this has been amazing. Everybody, let's give it up for Marcus. Thank you for doing this with us today. Thank you to Gibson Guitars for help making this happen. And yeah, go try Gibson guitar out for yourself and write some songs. Bye, everybody.
bye.